Hey, you guys, welcome back. Ashley Todd with Well Fed Health. In this video, we are precisely going to talk about how to stay consistent with your diet and nutrition goals. This is one of the biggest things that I hear my clients talk about often when they first get started is I just need to figure out how to stay more consistent. And so if you have ever caught yourself and so many of us have, so I think that this will relate in this cycle of like feeling so good with your plan on Sunday and Monday and Tuesday, and then things start to just get really hard as we get into the tail end of the week. This video is for you. So I'm going to dive in throughout this. If you have any questions, like put them in the comments. I love hearing from people. I'm happy to explain or to dive in to more topics here. Let's get in.
All right, so let's dive into this. One of the biggest reasons I see people struggle with consistency when it comes to their nutrition or diet plan or whatever they're working through related to foods or weight loss is that they simply just go in too hard, too fast. And that happens a lot of times with just the habits that they choose to bite off, but more so where I see this, or just as much so, where I see this become problematic is with their calories. So instead of really figuring out what an ideal calorie range for you might be, and then based off of that, what a sustainable deficit would be, what most people do is they just move their body as much as possible and they eat as little as possible, okay, which is a recipe for disaster, okay? And that's why today and in this video, I really want to talk about the risks of that over restriction, not just with foods, but also with our mindset and how that relationship with the food impacts our overall consistency. So, if you've ever found yourself in this struggle of feeling really good for a few days and then falling off of your diet hard and then starting over again on Monday, like one, you're not alone, and two, this is for you. So, tune in here. Okay. So this bracket that you see up here, this is a bracket that I use often with my clients to kind of explain what our body needs are and what our maintenance range is. So our bodies don't require exactly the same amount of calories every single day to lose or to maintain weight or to gain weight. Our bodies are wildly good at adapting to a range of calories. But for most of us, we stay at about the same weight if we eat within this range, right? So not exactly a precise number, but if we're eating kind of somewhere within this bracket range, we will, for the most part, stay the same weight, okay? Maybe with some fluctuations here and there. If we consistently eat more than this, that's when we gain weight. If we consistently eat less than this, we lose weight, hypothetically. Now, there are some caveats to this that can make weight loss really frustrating, and we're going to talk about those here in just a second. Um, and the more balanced our macros are, the better types of foods, the more real whole foods we're eating, the more that this framework holds true. Okay. But again, you know, the way our body responds to calories isn't about what we do in one day or in one meal. It's about what we do repeatedly. So you may, in different videos, hear me overemphasize the word consistently when we're talking about our habits and the way we eat, because one single day of over or under eating is never the problem. One off-plan food day is not the problem. It's what we do repeatedly that shapes our habits and shapes our bodies. So let's take a look at how restriction impacts our results. Now, there are two types of under eating that, let me get my slide to move forward here. There's two types of under eating that can really become problematic, and I want to talk about those. I want to cover them both. Now, chronic eating, this is when a person is under eating day over day for many months and maybe even years. And we're going to talk about that. That's less common. Now, acute under eating, this is more common and what I see more often than not impacting people's consistency with their diet plans. And this is when a person is dieting or eating way below their energy needs for a few days, maybe even a week or two, and then the wheels kind of falling off. So let's take a closer look at this. Again, Acute undereating, this is the type of over restriction that I see cause the most amount of trouble for people. So let me paint a picture for you. Let's say this person's, picture that bracket in there. Let's say that their maintenance range, and again, the amount of calories that they need to maintain weight, taking into account all of the activities that they do in a day. Let's say that number is 2,200 calories, all right? And let's say this person has a goal to lose weight. And instead of subtracting a reasonable and manageable, maybe 250 to 500 calories from that number, they just eat as little as possible in a day. Okay. And I say that with a little laughter because some of you are probably shaking your head like, yes, I've definitely done that before. Screw the numbers. I'm just going to eat as little as possible. And so you aren't alone. I see this all the time. It's probably the most common approach in reality. And so what happens with this approach? We've all been there before. Sunday, feeling super pumped, got a plan. Monday rolls around, feeling great. Maybe we get in about 1,100 calories, crushing it. We're going to meet our goals this time. We do the same thing Tuesday. Wednesday starts to roll around. All of a sudden, our foods aren't feeling as good anymore. We're starting to get tempted with the office Jimmy John's order. Things starting to kind of lose energy and motivation for the week. And then bam, Thursday hits. And I don't know what it is about Thursday, but Thursday always seems to be the day that the donuts are in the break room, right? And we think about them and we think about them. We avoid them at first, but eventually we go in, right? And we eat the donuts. And then what happens, right? What happens after we eat the donut? We fall off plan. What story do you start to tell yourself after this happens? Are you saying things like, I can't believe I messed that up again? Why don't I have more willpower? I never stick to my plan. And worst of all, hear people say, I suck. And if that beat up isn't bad enough, then what happens? One tiny, insignificant, bad decision turns into a not so great dinner, and then a not so great Friday, and screw the weekend, the classic, I'll start again on Monday. And I know you're shaking your head because I know you have felt that before. It's incredibly frustrating. And while you're sitting there beating yourself up over what feels like shitty willpower, what actually happened, your falling off plan was the result of too many days at a calorie deficit that was way too low for your body. And when we eat at a range that's that low, at some point your brain is going to send you signals to eat, to protect you. It's designed to do that. And right now we live in a culture where there is highly accessible, not so great foods around us all of the time. It's not your willpower, it's your brain protecting you. So this is the risk of acute undereating. When we have several days of undereating, it leads typically to just as many days of overeating. And then we feel stuck and frustrated because we aren't losing any weight. Versus if we can learn to eat in a range that's more appropriate, right? Like we're still in a deficit because we want to lose weight, but we're not so low that we send our brain into panic mode. That is the sweet spot. And if you need help coming up with that number, check out my website. I have a free macro calculator on there to help get you started and set up. I also have a meal prep guide in there that while it's a meal prep guide, it also has a lot of great information about setting up your calories and macronutrients. So check that out in there if you feel like you're a little bit lost on where to get started. But let's take a look at that second type of undereating and over restriction that can impact our consistency. This is chronic undereating. Again, this isn't as common, but it certainly is present. So want to spend just a little bit of time talking about it. When we chronically undereat for a long period of time, the body does start to adapt. You may experience a situation where your overall metabolism starts to lower a bit, or even a situation where your brain starts to turn down the dial on other systems to help preserve energy. This may mean that your thyroid function may take a hit, maybe your digestive tract, maybe your adrenal function, are all turned down just a bit to send resources to other more critical areas of your body. This adaptation, which your body really does to protect you, can be very frustrating because you may feel like you're hardly eating any food, but you still aren't losing weight. And if you feel like this is you, if you feel like perhaps you've gotten stuck in this cycle over the years, the best way to break free from this is to slowly start to feed your body the right amount of food. And there may be a small period of frustrating maintenance or maybe even a little weight gain, and I mean a little over time, so that you can recover these systems and kind of help all systems be on go again, and so that your body is responding appropriately to the right amount of food. And once these systems are recovered, your body's going to better respond to calories and to deficits so that you can meet those weight loss goals. So hang in there. And again, if you're feeling stuck in this cycle, reach out, okay? A coach can be a great way to kind of break through some of these plateaus because I know that this can be a really frustrating space to be in. And on top of the metabolic risks of an overly restrictive diet, there are complications that kind of this overall restrictive mindset can have. When we focus everything that on what we can't have, it's such a hard road to go down. It makes long-term sustainability very hard. And if you follow my channel at all, or if you've seen any of my content in the past, you know that this is something that I say often, and I do so intentionally because I believe in my whole heart, and this was the mindset shift that changed my world, is that when we start to shift our intention towards how can I put as much amazing food and fuel and energy into my body as possible to support it, for all of the crazy awesome things that it does for me in a day, your world will change. Because all of a sudden, you aren't seeing how little you can eat. You're aiming for how healthy and happy can I make my body today? And that's a magical space to be in, especially when you're trying to make lifestyle changes or lose weight or create healthy change. How much awesome food can I put in my body today? And the more we do this, the easier it gets because we start to see some awesome changes and then it gets even easier. And then we start to feel better and then it gets even easier still. And guess what? When we start to take this approach, what happens is we start to eat better foods, right? How can I make my body thrive today is inevitably going to result in better food choices, more whole foods. And guess what? It's super hard to overeat on whole foods, and we feel nourished along the way and able to eat more. Your body is this amazing vessel, and you deserve to feel amazing. How can I make my body thrive today? That's the question. That's what I want you to set your sight on. That is the key to consistency, and that is the key to long-term gains. How can I make my body thrive today? Stepping outside that camp of restriction and into that space of more, that is a place that you can stay in for a very long time. And that is precisely what we're looking for when we're aiming for consistency. Now, you're going to have setbacks along the way. We're human. You're going to have the occasional donut on the Thursday, right? It's going to be in the break room. You're going to have meals out with friends and celebrations and holidays, and learning to view those as just a very small percentage of the overall big picture and your overall consumptions of foods. It's so tiny and insignificant. It allows you to enjoy those moments. And learning how to do that is also going to help keep you consistent and on plan. And this is where the magic happens. No more all or nothing. We're looking for lifestyle change.
Thank you guys for hanging out today. If you enjoyed this, be sure to hit subscribe. I dive into a lot of topics, a lot of struggles, a lot of barriers that people often experience when they're diving into nutrition or weight loss or a healthy eating plan, whatever that may be for you. If you check out the notes in the description here, you'll see a link to my meal prep guide. I put that together with a lot of love. It's free. Check it out, kind of kickstart your nutrition journey. Also, some great information in there about my Well Fed Health coaching programs. Have a great day. Thank you for being here.